Good afternoon, everyone. We are Team 6, and our project topic is based on Islamophobia in the United Kingdom. Everyone is probably familiar with Islamophobia, but if you are not, the all-party parliamentary group, known as APPG, put their foot down to make a first working definition that is in the United Kingdom. They said Islamophobia is rooted in racism and is a type of racism that targets expressions of Muslimness or perceived Muslimness. Muslims face a number of barriers denying their success. It includes how students face stereotyping and low expectations from teachers, and how there's a lack of Muslim staff or other role models in the classroom. Minority ethnic sounding names reduce the likelihood of people being offered an interview, and also, young Muslims routinely fear becoming the targets of bullying and harassment and feel forced to work 10 times as hard as their white counterparts. Continuing from the last slide, there is a goal of that Islamophobia definition created by the APPG. They want to draw comparisons with racism, although doing this has an opportunity for potential confusion. This confusion rises because religion has the potential to be changed and chosen, while race is largely fixed and unchanging. Their goal is to clearly explain the comparison with racism to highlight similarities between the functions and processes of Islamophobia, rather than suggesting Muslims constitute a race. Aligning Islamophobia with racism is also likely to be helpful, because people understand racism, and the majority deem it to be unwanted and unnecessary in today's UK. While the working definition is still in development, it's worth remembering that it only is a recommendation. Whether the government intends to adopt it or not is unclear at this stage. Some alarming statistics of Islamophobia is in the year of 2017. There were 1,001 verified reports submitted. This was a rise of 26% compared to the year before, and is the highest amount since records of Islamophobia have ever been recorded. In 2017, vandalism replaced threatening behavior as the third most common category of anti-Muslim hate crimes. There was a 56% increase in anti-Muslim vandalism when compared with 2016. More than two-thirds of the attacks and abuse occurred offline. This was a 31% rise from 2016. Lastly, of the victims facing hate crimes, 6 out of 10 were women, and the perpetrators, 8 out of 10 were men, with the majority aged between 13 and 18. Women were targeted more often due to their clothing and were easily identifiable. In the United Kingdom, there is a trend of hate crimes against Muslims due to government support and extremists. Britain is spending almost £1 million to protect dozens of places of worship. This includes 9 churches and 22 mosques. The government also implemented a program to take on hate crime and will provide £1.5 million to a group of people who challenge prejudice acts. The United Kingdom reported a 17% increase in hate crimes over the past year, with 94,098 incidents recorded by police, which was up from 40,000 from 2012. On the right, the chart shows that hate crimes spike in relations to moments of national tension or international crisis, such as terrorism. Punish a Muslim Day was a game that suggested people could win points for committing hate crime activities against Muslims. The instructions of the game were sent to East London, the Midlands, and Yorkshire. They were mailed to mosques, community centres, schools, and homes across Britain, and even to Muslim members of parliament. The letters thought to be contained with a toxic substance, but ended up being harmless. 3 months later, the person behind the game was arrested. He was a 35-year-old man living in eastern England. He was arrested by the counterterrorism unit. Once news of this happened, to combat the sick and twisted act, people created the Love a Muslim Day event. It contained the same layout to try and make it seem that Punish a Muslim Day was a fake all along, and changed all of the hate into something very positive. As you can see, on the left is Punish a Muslim Day, and on the right is Love a Muslim Day. The layout is almost identical, except for the ways to obtain points. For example, on the left it includes verbally abusing a Muslim for 10 points, and on the right it is to smile at a Muslim for 10 points. On the left you can see some of the events entail very dark actions such as throwing acid, torturing, and committing arson against Muslims to support Islamophobia. This slide consists of a major organization addressing Islamophobia. It is the Mayor's Office for Policing and Crime, known as MOPAC. They are responsible for oversight of the Metro Police, and they make a point to show that hatred and intolerance in London is unacceptable, and when it motivates crime, it is very illegal. They have a few corporate social responsibilities, known as their CSRs. They are very for protecting Londoners from hate crime, making sure victims of hate crime receive better support, and straightening the work to prevent vulnerable people in London from being radicalized against. They also conduct opportunities to get involved. One example is the National Hate Crime Awareness Week. A company that is fighting to prevent hate against Muslims is known as Musb&B. They are extremely similar to Airbnb, but was specifically made to protect Muslims. Airbnb allows for the host to reject potential renters based on race, age, gender, and other factors. Islamophobia is a problem that Muslims could face, which makes it hard for them to stay in a comfy and friendly environment while traveling. Musb&B highlights homes that are near mosque and contain alcohol and drug-free environments. They also contain spaces for prayer and are stocked with Islamic literature. Muslims will now be able to travel because their accommodations will now be insured. There are a few companies taking advantage of Islamophobia in the United Kingdom. The first one is the British Aerospace, which is one of the leading defense contractors in the world. Due to the current refugee crisis, this offers them a chance to enter in an expanding market in border control and surveillance. They now can repurpose outdated equipment such as old satellites, sensors, and drones. The border security industry was only worth about $29.3 billion in 2012, but is now estimated to inflate to over $56.5 billion in 2022. The other company is the British news organization called The Sun. They capitalize on the fear and ignorance of the British people by repeatedly publishing articles and titles that bolster fear-mongering in an attempt to improve readership and sales. There are a few simple marketing-related recommendations UK firms can do to address Islamophobia. For example, firms can build relationships with Muslim communities. This includes employing or aiding them once they are in the workplace in any way possible. They can advertise to their community specifically and make the office space a very inclusive environment. This will ultimately allow for the business to be more diverse and reach different segments of the population they were not able to hit before. Another marketing related recommendation is by including Muslim employees and partners in advertising and donate to Muslims in war-torn countries. This could include funding refugee organizations, allowing for good publicity for the publicly traded firm. This slide consists of all of our references. Thank you for your time. Are there any questions?